Hello everyone, welcome back to Oni-chan. Today, I will review Luffy's final battle in Wano. After so many days of waiting, Luffy finally awakened Gear 5 and defeated the strongest Yonko, Kaido, rescuing all the people of Wano country, helping them break free from the 20-year-long dictatorship. But before that, Luffy was defeated by Kaido, causing him to fall into the sea, while Zoro and Sanji are currently battling King and Queen. Kid and Law have to confront Big Mom. Luckily, Luffy was saved by Law's group. At this moment, Momo has also transformed into a massive pink dragon, to help bring Luffy back to the fight against Kaido. While Yamato was still being pummeled by Kaido, the latter kept reproaching Yamato for idolizing Oden and not obeying him. It turned out that since childhood, Yamato had always wanted to leave the island. Suddenly, Yamato activated the Conqueror's Haki. It caused Kaido's soldiers to faint. However, Yamato was continually captured and brought back by Kaido because Yamato always identified as Oden himself. As a result, Kaido decided to imprison Yamato together with the 3 samurai lords of Wano. It turned out that Kaido had starved them, intending to break their will and force all 3 of them to join the beast pirates. He only provided them with a limited amount of food. Yamato kept thinking that they would be killed. Unexpectedly, they gave their portion of food to Yamato, making them very happy. As a result, Yamato showed the 3 samurai lords Oden's logbook and asked them to teach them how to read it. Yamato learned about Oden's entire journey through this logbook. The 3 samurai lords realized that Yamato genuinely wanted to protect Wano, so they decided to sacrifice themselves in the fight and entrusted the future of Wano to Yamato. At this moment, Yamato was determined to defeat Kaido and reclaim freedom for Wano. So, both Yamato and Kaido continued to use the Thunderclap 8 trigrams technique. On Luffy's side, they noticed that even though Momo had grown in size, his soul was still that of an 8-year-old boy. Hence, Luffy pulled Momo's eyes, forcing him to fly up into the air. While Yamato was able to block Kaido's attacks and even made him bleed, Yamato transformed her club into ice and unleashed a powerful strike against Kaido, causing him to bleed even more. This attack forced Kaido to crash into the ground. At this point, Kaido became furious and released his haki to discipline this rebellious daughter of his. After escaping from prison, Yamato had to constantly hide and endure hunger and thirst. Fortunately, there was a kind soldier who brought food for Yamato. However, the next day, the soldier was executed by Kaido, intensifying Yamato's hatred towards him. As a result, Kaido continued to overpower Yamato, as their difference in strength was too vast. While Luffy managed to get Momo to fly up, despite Momo keeping their eyes tightly shut, they were successful in getting Luffy airborne. Eventually, they caught sight of Kaido, but Momo was too scared to open their eyes, causing them to crash straight into the castle, surprising everyone who couldn't understand who this pink dragon was. And everyone also saw Luffy returning. Meanwhile, Kid and Law were still engaged in battle with Big Mom. Then they saw Luffy flying up into the sky. But in the end, Luffy also managed to fly up to the top of the castle. While Yamato was preparing to deliver a decisive blow to Kaido, Luffy and Momo also caught sight of him. They immediately joined the fight, and Luffy switched to Gear 4 state. Together with Yamato, they unleashed a powerful attack on Kaido, sending him flying through several layers of walls and causing tremors atop the castle. Yamato was delighted to see Luffy return. However, Yamato was still unaware of the identity of the pink dragon. To their surprise, Kaido quickly returned and taunted Luffy, saying, "You are still alive, Straw Hat." Luffy responded to Kaido, saying, "How can I die? I'm the one who will become the Pirate King." Kaido was also curious about the pink dragon's identity. Upon seeing Kaido, Momo started to tremble as the memories of almost being killed by Kaido haunted him. But this time, Momo showed more courage and revealed his name, saying, "I am Momonosuke, the one who will become the ruler of Wano." On Dog and Cat side, they were fighting fiercely against Jack and Puro. Suddenly, the moon was covered by clouds, causing them to lose their Sulong transformation. Taking advantage of this, Puro turned the tables on them. At this moment, Kaido didn't want 2 dragons to appear, so he was determined to deal with Momo. As Kaido was about to breathe fire on both Luffy and Momo, Luffy advised Momo to breathe fire as well. However, Momo didn't know how to breathe fire, so he could only dodge. Luffy told Momo, "If you can't shoot fire, then bite him." Luffy then activated Gear 3 and delivered a powerful punch to Kaido's head. While Momo was still filled with fear, the memory of his mother being killed by Kaido fueled his anger. Momo gathered his courage and charged at Kaido, determined to bite him, causing him great pain. Realizing that Kaido was about to breathe fire at Momo, Luffy immediately intervened and punched Kaido, stopping his attack. Luffy then said to Momo, "The one you bit is one of the 4 emperors. What else in this world can scare you?" Finally, Momo overcame his fear. Luffy said, "Go and stop Onigashima. I will definitely defeat Kaido." Everyone was delighted to see Luffy return, while Sanji and Zoro were still locked in combat with Queen and King. At this moment, Zoro said to Sanji, "It's time for us to fight for real." So, both of them immediately got serious and fought earnestly against their opponents. Meanwhile, Kaido transformed into his powerful, human beast form, the strongest state for combat, to face Luffy. Determined, Luffy also decided to go all out against Kaido. They both unleashed their haki and charged at each other, causing the entire Onigashima island to tremble under the intensity of their clash. Everyone could feel the intensity of the battle on top of the castle, so fierce that it split the sky in half. Yamato noticed this phenomenon was similar to the fight between Whitebeard and Roger. Due to this, the moon revealed itself, allowing Inuarashi and Nekomamushi to regain their Sulong forms and turn the tables against Jack and Perispero. Meanwhile, Yamato jumped on Momo's back to help him in stopping Onigashima Island. Suddenly, Kaido attacked them, and Yamato swiftly returned to restrain him. Luffy also rushed in to capture Kaido, as he was determined to face him in battle. While Yamato and Momo were falling down, Yamato taught Momo how to create clouds. It turned out that dragons don't fly but rather use clouds to soar into the sky. Eventually, Momo managed to fly using this method. Meanwhile, Inuarashi and Nekomamushi regained their Sulong forms and decided to put an end to the 2 troublesome foes. They charged together and dealt with them decisively. At this moment, Momo had just learned how to create clouds, making him very happy. Suddenly, Yamato noticed a large number of rocks falling down and realized that Kaido's strength had decreased. Meanwhile, Luffy was still in combat with Kaido. Momo decided to use his head to push the island back since it was getting dangerously close to the capital. Yamato advised Momo to create even stronger, flame clouds, than Kaido's to stop the island. Yamato also revealed that there were many explosives inside the castle. If they didn't stop the island, the entire capital would be destroyed. While all the citizens remained unaware, they continued to celebrate the festival blissfully. On Zoro's side, he is still fighting fiercely against King. As for Sanji, he is continuously being attacked by Queen, which sends him flying and makes him think that he might have broken some bones. Surprisingly, Sanji feels completely fine, not even losing a single strand of hair. Zoro has used the 3-sword style and immediately cut off one of King's horns, making him furious and unleash his devil fruit powers. King continuously swings his wings, attacking Zoro. Unexpectedly, that attack sent Zoro flying. But luckily, Frankie caught him. Zoro realized that King is very powerful. On Sanji's side, he is still being continuously attacked by Queen, but he realizes that his body is behaving strangely. At the same time, King has found Zoro and launches an attack on him. Zoro uses his 3-sword style to block the attack, but he is once again sent flying. It seems like Zoro is about to fall off the island, but he manages to swing his swords in the air and propel himself back up. He is now ready to face King once again. On Momo's side, he is trying to create flame clouds, bigger than Kaido's, but he hasn't succeeded yet, so Yamato decides to enter the castle to deal with all the explosives inside. She releases her devil fruit power to climb into the castle. On another side, the CP0 agents are still monitoring the battle and informing Lucci. He says that if Kaido loses, the world government will take control of all of Wano. But the masked man named Gwenitsa still doesn't believe that Kaido can be defeated. Lucci instructs him to capture Robin because only she can read the ancient language, while Robin and Brook are running to gather with everyone else. Queen forces Sanji to hand over the Germa superhero suit to him, making Sanji angry. Sanji continuously attacks Queen because Queen mentioned his ruthless and cruel family. Sanji then delivers a powerful flaming kick, sending Queen flying. Everyone thinks that they have defeated Queen. Unexpectedly, Queen remains unfazed, so he decides to unleash his special ultimate move. Suddenly, Queen separates his head from his body like a snake, surprising everyone. He grabs Sanji and starts squeezing him, intending to break all of his bones. Sanji is in intense pain, but he refuses to use the power of Germa. This angers Queen, who takes out 2 missile-like projectiles from his body and accidentally fires them at himself. This gives Sanji the opportunity to escape, but he is already weakened by the attack. Chopper is worried and plans to treat Sanji, but they are surprised to find that Sanji's body is very unusual. Despite his bones being completely broken, he can still move and even adjust his bones by himself. At this moment, Sanji realizes that he has awakened his dormant genetic modification. Just like them, when Queen tries to secretly attack Sanji with his sword, unexpectedly, his sword breaks. It turns out that since he was young, Sanji has always been considered a failed scientific experiment by his family because he couldn't awaken his genetic modification. However, in this battle, Sanji has awakened it. Meanwhile, Killer is still fighting against Hawkins. Hawkins wonders why Killer is laughing despite being injured. He then realizes that Killer has been forced to eat a faulty devil fruit by Orochi. Even he ends up laughing at Killer. Now, Hawkins stands still, allowing Killer to attack him. But Killer cannot retaliate because if he does, Kid will die. So, Hawkins attacks Killer to force him to fight back. While Kid is still injured, he persists in gathering metal to attack Big Mom. She retaliates by using Prometheus to strike Kid. Law immediately teleports him back. But suddenly Kid continues to feel pain. Law still doesn't know what problem Kid is facing. Big Mom unleashed her power to deal with both of them, but they managed to stand up again. Kid still couldn't understand why he was experiencing the headache. It turned out that Hawking was thrusting his head into the pillar himself. It caused Kid to be continuously injured. When Hawking said, "Everyone will die here," Killer replied, "Kid will never die here and become the Pirate King." As a result, Hawking became furious and continuously attacked Killer because he believed they would never defeat the Yonko. Killer continued to taunt him as a coward for submitting to Kaido's strength, which infuriated Hawking even more. At this moment, Killer realized the secret of Hawking. He immediately rushed to attack Hawking and cut off one of his arms. This action caused Hawking immense pain as he couldn't understand why he was getting injured. It turned out that Kid had already lost one arm. So, Killer managed to break Hawking's control over Kid and helped him escape from Hawking's manipulation. At this moment, Hawking decided to unleash his devil fruit power and transformed into a giant straw man to attack Killer. However, Killer easily blocked and defeated him in the blink of an eye. In the meantime, Kid finally got to fight freely. On Sanji's side, he surprised everyone by breaking Queen's sword without even using haki. Queen realized that it was the technology of Germa. While Sanji was in shock, he feared that he might turn into a cold-hearted person like his siblings. At this moment, Queen continued to attack Sanji relentlessly, trying to force him to use Germa's superhero suit. However, Sanji refused to use it. On the side of the Otama group, they saw Kinnamon's legs running around in a scattered manner. As it turns out, Kinnamon's ability to run around with his separated body was a result of Law's previous actions. He was able to use this skill now. Kiku was in danger, so Kinnamon asked them to quickly go and help Kiku. On Robin and Brook's side, they were discovered by the CP0 agents. Meanwhile, Kinnamon was waiting for the others to come and assist. Suddenly, they noticed that Kanjuro was still alive and talking to Orochi. At this moment, Kanjuro used his last breath to draw a monstrous fire creature that set ablaze Kaido's entire castle. While Luffy was fiercely battling Kaido, Kid and Law were working together to defeat Big Mom. However, Big Mom had the support of 3 powerful homies, which made it easy for her to push back Kid and Law. At this moment, Kid realized that Law had not fully unleashed his devil fruit power yet. Knowing that Law had awakened his devil fruit as well, it turned out that both Kid and Law had awakened their devil fruits, but they were saving it for critical situations. They decided to combine their powers and unleash their ultimate moves. Kid released his power, gathering and manipulating all the metal around him, transforming into a gigantic robot. He immediately attacked Big Mom, but she countered with a powerful strike that sent Kid flying away. At that moment, Big Mom was about to finish off Kid. But Law activated the awakened power of his devil fruit. He enveloped his sword with his devil fruit ability. He extended his sword, stabbing through Big Mom's body, and immediately, he electrified her from the inside. Although it could injure Big Mom, she still remained unharmed. Suddenly, Kid also activated his devil fruit power, turning Big Mom into a giant magnet, attracting all the metal debris and even large iron pillars towards her. With the combination of Law's power, they unleashed an immensely powerful attack on Big Mom, causing everything to collapse around them. Everyone was surprised by the overwhelming strength they displayed. But unexpectedly, Big Mom was still alive, which made her even more furious because they dared to insult a Yonko. So, Big Mom unleashed her devil fruit power, sucking out the lifespan of the Kaido's soldiers who were nearby, and Big Mom summoned back her homies. At this moment, She continued sacrificing 1 year of her lifespan to enhance her power and transform into a giant. Big Mom said, "So you want to take my position as a Yonko, huh? Then let's see what you've got." However, Kid and Law showed no fear and were determined to fight her to the end. At this moment, Sanji still firmly refused to use the Germa suit. Suddenly, a geisha girl cried out for help. Unintentionally, Sanji bumped into her, causing her to be frightened and reluctant to approach him, seeing their sister being attacked. Other girls also became cautious and drove him away, leaving Sanji disappointed. As soon as he stepped out, Queen began teasing and mocking Sanji again, because of Sanji's code of never hitting women and his desire not to be like his emotionless family. While Queen kept provoking and taunting Sanji, he was struggling internally, trying to figure out what kind of person he needed to become to help Luffy become the Pirate King. In the end, Sanji made a decision and took out the Germa suit, which excited Queen. Unexpectedly, Sanji shattered the suit because he would never become a part of the Germa family. On Zoro's side, he is busy fighting with King when suddenly someone calls him on the Den Den Mushi. Zoro doesn't understand who is calling him at this moment. It turns out to be Sanji, who tells him, "If after this battle, I lose control of myself, then please kill me." Although Zoro doesn't know what's happening, he agrees with Sanji and says, "You're not allowed to die before I kill you." Finally, Sanji decided to unleash all his strength to defeat Queen. Surprisingly, Sanji vanished at an incredibly fast speed and delivered a powerful kick to Queen. Meanwhile, Kid and Law were under a relentless attack from Big Mom, forcing them to strategize how to deal with her. On the other hand, Robin was being hunted down by CP0 agents. Suddenly, Kanjuro's fire monster fell down and promptly swallowed the CP0 agents whole. It turned out that Orochi intended to use this monster to burn down the entire castle. Suddenly, Orochi heard the sound of Hiyori's lute, which delighted him as he believed his beloved was still alive. Meanwhile, Momonosuke continued his efforts to create flame clouds to hinder Onigashima's movements. As for Zoro, he is still facing off against King. Suddenly, King pulled back his stretched mask from behind, creating a strong counterforce. King rushed at Zoro with incredible speed, making it impossible for him to block. So Zoro decided to counterattack. He immediately unleashed the haki of his sword, Enma, creating a whirlwind to attack King. However, King easily broke through the attack. At this moment, King drew his sword and faced Zoro. He realized that King's body was incredibly sturdy, and the flame behind him was very peculiar as well. Zoro didn't know what race King belonged to. Then, King attacked Zoro and sent him flying, leaving him exhausted. At this moment, Zoro heard the sound of Hiyori's musical instrument. Surprisingly, the Enma sword autonomously absorbed Zoro's haki, causing him great pain. While Orochi was very pleased to be reunited with his crush, on Yamato's side, she were trying to find a way to stop the fire-breathing monster and realized that if it continued down to the lower levels, it would reach the explosives beneath, potentially destroying the entire castle. So, Yamato hurriedly ran down to the basement to prevent any disaster. Meanwhile, the two CP0 agents were safe and still determined to find Robin. Suddenly, Apu got involved in the situation, and he was swiftly dealt with. Despite knowing Drake's undercover identity as a Marine agent, they still intended to eliminate him. However, to their surprise, Apu was still alive and attacked them. This led Drake and Apu to decide to team up and take care of these two troublemakers. Momo continued to exert all his strength to pull the entire island, but it still wouldn't budge. Meanwhile, Zoro was struggling as he was being drained of haki due to hearing Hiyori's melody. Although, Zoro eventually regained control of Enma, but King relentlessly attacked Zoro once more, sending him flying. Suddenly, King stood still, allowing Zoro to strike him. Unexpectedly, King's body exploded, sending Zoro flying into a wall. Zoro was unsure why King's body was unusually strong and sturdy. At this moment, Zoro decided to put all his strength into one sword strike. He quickly injured King with great speed, but King remained unfazed. As King lunged at Zoro once again, Enma suddenly went out of control, leaving Zoro unable to evade the attack. In that moment, he recalled the cursed sword he had obtained, the Kitetsu sword. It turned out that the sword belonged to the old blacksmith. While still being attacked by King, Zoro recalled the Wado Ichimonji sword that once belonged to Kuina. He couldn't understand why a sword from the East Blue ended up in Wano country. At this moment, King continued his assault on Zoro. In response, Zoro quickly ran to retrieve the Enma sword and managed to block King's attack. However, due to the force of the clash, Zoro was sent flying into a nearby building. Looking at the Enma sword, suddenly Zoro recalled an old fisherman he had known in his village when he was young. The fisherman had some connection to Wano country, because the old man blacksmith had said that both the Wado Ichimonji and Enma swords were crafted by a legendary blacksmith named Kozaburo. It turns out that Kozaburo had left Wano country 50 years ago. Zoro remembered that when he was young, he always lost to Kuina, which made him frustrated, so he often went to play with the old man fisherman, who was also Kuina's grandfather. Seeing Zoro's passion for swordsmanship, the old man decided to give him 2 real swords. He taught Zoro many things and also shared stories about the Enma sword, which was also known as the Great King of Hell. Now, Zoro recalled the memories of the Enma sword. On Momo's side, he is still trying to pull the island, but the flame clouds he creates are too weak. Suddenly, Momo realizes that he can control Kaido's clouds, so he immediately pulls them away. Zoro realizes that Enma has chosen him. Thanks to recalling the teachings of the old man fisherman, Zoro finally manages to control Enma. Even Odin had a hard time controlling the sword. Suddenly, a group of foolish soldiers attacked Zoro. While he had mastered his haki, unexpectedly, he inadvertently unleashed his conqueror's haki, causing the soldiers to faint. King immediately asked, "Do you intend to become a king?" Zoro suddenly remembered that he had also made a promise with Luffy that he would become the world's strongest swordsman. Queen was still infuriated by the destruction of the Germa technology by Sanji, so he shot a laser at him. He recognized that this skill belonged to Ichiji. Then Queen continued to electrocute Sanji, which was Niji's skill, but Sanji continued to move swiftly towards Queen. It turned out that Queen had thoroughly studied the technology of Germa, enabling him to mimic all of their techniques. Queen continued to capture Sanji and threw him using Yanji's technique. However, Sanji was the only one that Queen had not studied thoroughly, which frustrated him. As Queen was about to finish him off, Sanji retaliated with a flaming kick, breaking Queen's arm. Sanji was annoyed because this unpleasant guy kept constantly mentioning his demon family. Sanji, in anger, immediately kicked him, making him hit the wall. However, he managed to stand up again. Moreover, he taunted Sanji, saying that eventually, he would become a heartless person. This made Sanji even more frustrated and determined to defeat Queen. Unexpectedly, Queen was able to use Sanji's own invisibility technique against him. When Queen attempted to attack him from behind, Sanji quickly circled back to find Queen. Suddenly, he noticed a geisha girl chasing a mouse. Turns out, she was injured last time because Queen had attacked her. Because of his frustration from being rejected when confessing his feelings, he used his invisibility and sneakily attacked her, blaming Sanji for it. When he was about to attack her again, Sanji realized that he still had a strong affinity for women and hadn't changed at all. So, Sanji swiftly moved towards him. Sanji unleashed his full power, manifesting a blue flame and delivered a direct kick to Queen's face. At this moment, Sanji's speed and strength reached a whole new level. Even Queen's provocations had no effect on him anymore. He knew that he was the cook on the Straw Hat Pirate's ship, and with this newfound determination, he charged at Queen with incredible speed. With a mighty kick, Sanji ended the fight, sending Queen flying off the island for good. The girl realized that Sanji had saved her, and her fear of him vanished. Despite being exhausted, Sanji emerged victorious from the battle. On Zoro's side, he managed to control Enma and continuously attacked King. However, King's body was remarkably unique and tough, making it difficult for Zoro to land a hit on him. Zoro believed that there must be a weakness, so he put all his strength into a powerful strike. Surprisingly, this time he managed to cleave King's mask in half, revealing King's face and astonishing his subordinates. Realizing that King's face was specially wanted by the government, with a bounty of 100 million belly, he was surprised to see that King killed his own subordinates. Without hesitation, King immediately turned back to attack Zoro. Suddenly, Zoro realized he couldn't prolong the battle any longer, so he decided to go all out against King. While King boasted that Kaido would become the Pirate King, Zoro unleashed his full strength, using his demon-slash attack with lightning speed against him. Meanwhile, King also released his own power to counter Zoro's attack, and he remembered when Kaido had just saved him from the government's experiment facility. Because Kaido recognized that King belonged to the legendary Lunarian tribe with the ability to produce fire, he wanted King to join his pirate crew. So, Kaido rescued him from the facility, and when Kaido learned his real name was Albert, he decided to give him the nickname, King. King was determined to defeat Zoro, so he rushed forward and struck him with a powerful attack. However, Zoro managed to block and push King back. Undeterred, King continued his assault. Unexpectedly, Zoro landed a powerful strike on King's body. But King still didn't flinch or show any signs of pain, so, Zoro immediately jumped in and launched another attack. But unexpectedly, King knocked him away again. Despite that, Zoro could still continue the fight. At this moment, King decided to fly up and create a circle of fire, preparing to deliver a decisive blow to Zoro. So Zoro countered with his own attack, continuously splitting the fire dragons that King created. Zoro decided to end the battle and unleashed all his strength, charging directly at King. Finally, Zoro defeated him. Suddenly, King remembered that Kaido had once proclaimed himself as Joy Boy, the one who would create a new world, so he was determined to help Kaido become the Pirate King. However, at this moment, King was defeated. Zoro realized that only when he becomes the world's greatest swordsman can he truly be worthy of accompanying Luffy, so he aspired to become the King of Swordsmen. Finally, Zoro emerged victorious. But at this moment, he was also exhausted. CP0 was surprised to learn that the Straw Hat Pirates had defeated all the All-Stars of Kaido. But if they don't win against 2 Yonko, then their battle would be considered meaningless. Meanwhile, Big Mom was dominating Kid-in-Law in the battle. Meanwhile, Luffy is fiercely battling Kaido, and Yamato has to run down to the basement quickly before the fire monster reaches the explosives below. Usopp has found Kinemon and helped to reattach his body parts. While he was about to assist Kiku, he got surrounded by Kaido's troops. Fortunately, Izo arrived just in time to deal with them. Seeing his injured brother wanting to give up, Izo took off his shirt to show his determination. He held back the soldiers, to let Usopp escort Kinemon and Kiku away from this place, while Orochi is leisurely enjoying the music and deluding himself that he will marry Hiyori. Appu saw Drake being defeated by the CP0 and realized that staying there would be fatal, so, he quickly ran away. On Luffy's side, he continues to fight fiercely against Kaido. Even though he is still overwhelmed, whenever Kaido attacks, Luffy immediately counterattacks. Luffy activates Gear 3 and delivers a direct punch to Kaido's face. At this moment, both of them are exhausted, but they are also happy because of this intense battle. While Momo is struggling to pull the entire Onigashima Island, Kaido takes out some sake and drinks it in front of Luffy. Infuriating him, Kaido said, "Do you want a drink?" Luffy replied, "After defeating you, we'll have a feast with everyone." This suddenly made Kaido angry, but he started crying and laughing at the same time. Luffy realized that he was drunk. Kaido was so unsteady on his feet that it enraged Luffy, who then rushed in to attack Kaido. Unexpectedly, his technique was called Shuren Hake. Kaido transformed and swung his club, delivering a powerful blow to Luffy, knocking him unconscious. While Kaido contemplated, "After this battle, I'll have to rebuild the castle." Luffy regained consciousness and remained undeterred. He continued to attack Kaido. Unexpectedly, Kaido used Demolishing Wind to block him. Luffy realized that Kaido was drunk and started crying uncontrollably. Despite being in a fit of rage, Kaido was still able to fight Luffy fiercely. Suddenly, Luffy realized Kaido's weakness and delivered a kick that made Kaido take him seriously. After that strike, Kaido sobered up and unleashed a fiery breath attack at him. But Luffy managed to dodge and flew up. Using a barrage of punches, Kaido retaliated immediately, but surprisingly, Luffy was able to push him back. On the side of the world government's sacred land, the 5 elders are discussing a legendary devil fruit that no one has been able to awaken for 800 years, and they have to give it a different name to conceal its true identity. At this moment, Chopper has returned to his normal form, and Izo has dealt with all of Kaido's subordinates, though he is also heavily injured. Unexpectedly, 2 CP0 agents appear. Meanwhile, Yamato is rushing down to the basement to prevent the fire creature from reaching the explosives. She immediately transforms and freezes the entire warehouse, preventing the creature from reaching the explosives. Thanks to Yamato's actions, the creature is unable to reach the explosives. As a result, the creature is immediately knocked away by Yamato. However, it quickly returns and spews flames at Yamato. On Law and Kid's side, they are being overwhelmed by Big Mom for daring to gang up on an older person, causing both of them to collapse again. At this moment, Big Mom wonders why Kaido still hasn't defeated Luffy. She decides to head to the top of the castle to check it out, which infuriates Law. He immediately uses his devil fruit powers to immobilize her with his sword to capture her. Law immediately shocks Big Mom again, causing her to writhe in pain and fall down. Kid has also regained consciousness and utilizes his devil fruit power to merge with metal and transform into a gigantic robotic bull. and he immediately rushes in to suck Big Mom away. At this moment, Kid continues to attack Big Mom. Despite her efforts to resist, Big Mom is still pushed away by Kid's attack. Law felt annoyed as the other guy was stealing his spotlight. Suddenly, Big Mom regained consciousness, and despite her broken arm, she used her soul power to heal herself. This made her even more excited. Law warned that he only had strength for one more attack, and if they failed, they would both be defeated. Big Mom summoned 3 swords from her homies and struck a powerful blow at them. However, Kid managed to block it and then rushed in, turning Big Mom into a magnetic attraction to metal. Kid continued his assault, and Law kept teleporting and attacking her in quick succession. Despite their excellent coordination, Big Mom was still too powerful. She easily knocked both Law and Kid away. Enraged, she unleashed the full strength of her soul-based devil fruit powers, combining all 3 homies to create a colossal female monster that attacked Kid. The sight of this frenzied monster terrified everyone. As Big Mom prepared to finish off Kid, Law promptly teleported the entire building, causing it to fall on top of Big Mom's head. Seizing the opportunity, Law jumped down and thrust his sword at Big Mom. This time, his sword extended and pierced through the entire island, reaching the molten magma beneath the ground. So, Big Mom continued to punch him in the face. But Law didn't give up. He shocked Big Mom with a powerful electric attack, creating a huge pit that made her stumble. Seeing this, Kid stepped in and created a magnetic gun, firing it straight at Big Mom. However, she resisted and defiantly said, "It's time for all of you to end." So, she immediately released her devil fruit power, sucking the souls of everyone around her. But Kid and Law were the only ones who were not affected by her age-stealing ability. This surprised Kaido's men, who exclaimed, "Aren't they afraid of the Yonko?" At this moment, Law continued to use his devil fruit power, creating a protective circle around Big Mom. Surprisingly, this circle could nullify all sound, just like Corazone's ability. Thus, Big Mom couldn't instill fear in others and steal their lifespans. Finally, both Law and Kid delivered decisive blows that sent Big Mom tumbling down to the lower level. Yamato was surprised because she couldn't hear anything at all. Unexpectedly, Big Mom fell right into a pile of explosives, resulting in her complete defeat and being thrown off Onigashima Island. At this moment, Big Mom recalled the time when Roger was executed, as he had ignited the era of pirates. Only by doing so could they create new powerful generations like that. However, she still regrets not finding the One Piece. In the end, Big Mom fell into the abyss and exploded, officially ending her era. Kid and Law emerged victorious against one of the Yonko. While Momo is still struggling to pull the entire Onigashima Island, he hears the call of Zunesha. Yamato manages to push back the lava monster and coincidentally sees Momo. He informs Yamato that Zunesha is approaching and is actually a comrade of Joy Boy from 800 years ago. On the other side, Izo has confronted CP0 and realizes that they are currently targeting the Straw Hat crew. Izo decides to stop them and immediately attacks. However, the CP0 agents are too fast, making it difficult for Izo to handle both of them alone. Eventually, Izo gets overwhelmed and knocked unconscious, but he manages to take down one of the agents. Meanwhile, the remaining CP0 agent is frustrated as they still haven't captured Robin. Suddenly, the CP0 agent receives a message from the world government's 5 elders, ordering an immediate termination of Straw Hat Luffy. Surprisingly, this CP0 agent started to worry. If he interferes in Kaido's battle, he will be killed by Kaido. As Orochi saw Hiyori, he became very frightened, mistaking her for a ghost. He was so shocked that he got crushed by a falling rock, and Hiyori took the opportunity to stab him with a nail. Meanwhile, Kaido and Luffy continued their intense battle. Suddenly, Kaido became enraged upon learning that Kid and Law had defeated Big Mom. He reminisced about the time when Big Mom was still young and he had just joined the Rocks Pirates. While Kaido was lost in thought, Luffy quickly used Gear 4 to attack him. When Orochi regained consciousness, he realized that he couldn't transform anymore. It turned out that Hiyori had stabbed him with a seastone nail. Now, she revealed her true identity as Odin's daughter, which shocked Orochi. Meanwhile, Luffy continued to unleash a barrage of punches on Kaido. As the CP0 agent was heading up to the top floor of the castle, he was suddenly attacked by Drake, who had overheard their plans. Surprisingly, CP0 was able to counterattack against Drake. Even though he took a series of punches from Luffy, it was still like mosquito bites to Kaido. Undeterred, Luffy increased the strength of his punches, causing significant damage to Kaido, but he still counterattacked Luffy. Surprisingly, Kaido was still intoxicated. he transformed into a dragon and rushed to bite him. Kaido soared into the sky and shot a massive fireball at Luffy. The attack was so powerful that it pierced through the entire island. But Luffy managed to switch to another form and escape. Now, Luffy immediately returned to attack Kaido as his Gear 4 was reaching its limit. So, he inflated his arm into a gigantic size. Luffy intended to unleash a tremendously powerful attack to finish Kaido. As a result, Kaido was struck and fell to the ground. However, Luffy realized that he hadn't completely defeated Kaido yet. So, he charged in once again. Unexpectedly, he was hit by Kaido's club, sending Luffy flying. Luffy realized that he couldn't afford to lose, so he tightly sealed his mouth, preventing any air from escaping. With determination in his eyes, he stood up and declared, "This is my final attack. If I can't defeat you with this, then I'll be the one to lose." As a result, Kaido also decided to put all his strength into a single attack. Both of them unleashed their strongest moves, and unexpectedly, the CP0 agent jumped in, holding Luffy's hand, which reminded Kaido of his previous battle with Oden, but he couldn't stop it this time. Consequently, Luffy took a blow from Kaido, causing him to collapse completely. Kaido's face was filled with disappointment, and Luffy exhaled all the air out, returning to his normal state. As he was falling, Luffy's heart started pounding like a drum, and Kaido realized that Luffy couldn't stand up anymore. Finally, Kaido emerged victorious, but he was still very angry, because this CP0 agent dared to interfere in the battle. The other CP0 agent had already prepared a coffin in advance, so he stood still without any worry, allowing Kaido to finish him off. At this moment, Kaido still felt regretful about the battle with Luffy, making him extremely furious, and he created lightning bolts in the sky. Suddenly, Kaido transformed into a dragon and flew down towards the castle, leaving everyone surprised and unaware of Luffy's whereabouts. Kaido declared to everyone that Luffy was dead, leaving them all in shock. The Straw Hat crew couldn't believe it, and Nami, infuriated, scolded Kaido as a liar. When Kaido was about to deal with Nami, Marco quickly intervened and protected her. So, Nami remained safe and unharmed. Kaido declared that he would turn all the people of Wano into slaves. Kid and Law are currently being attacked by the soldiers because they have exhausted their strength. At this moment, all the samurai are feeling desperate. On Momo's side, he is feeling terrified as he realizes that Luffy has been defeated. However, Yamato refuses to give up and continues to fight, determined to defeat Kaido. Meanwhile, Luffy remains motionless on top of the castle, and Kid and Law struggle to stand up and keep fighting. Nami still believed and said, "Luffy, you must fulfill your promise to everyone." Unexpectedly, at this moment, Luffy's heart starts pounding, sounding like a drum, making Zunisha recall past memories. He said to Momo, "Do you hear the sound of the drum?" For the first time in 800 years, it has finally come. While Luffy was beginning to transform, Momo asked in confusion, "Who is he?" "It's Joy Boy, he has returned." Luffy has also regained consciousness at this moment, and his hair has changed to white. He doesn't understand how he can still stand up. "Clearly, I have already lost." Suddenly, Luffy feels very happy, and he bursts into laughter, while the tremendous power within Luffy continued to radiate. He underwent a complete transformation. His hair and clothes turned white. Sanji also sensed an immense surge of strength coming from Luffy, and everyone could feel it too. Luffy is still alive. At this moment, Luffy continued to laugh while looking at the moon. The 5 elders of the world government realized that their efforts to prevent the awakening of Luffy's devil fruit power were in vain. It turns out that the Gomu Gomu no Mi devil fruit, which the world government has been fiercely protecting, and hidden for over 800 years, it is not an ordinary Paramecia-type devil fruit. It turns out it is a mythical zone-type devil fruit, named Hito Hito no Mi, model Sun God Nika. It has a body similar to rubber. When active, it can grant its owner the ability to fight freely. While Luffy is still fascinated with his new state, Hiyori is playing a tune for Orochi to listen to. Realizing that he is about to be killed, Orochi shamelessly begs for forgiveness from Hiyori. However, after all the atrocities he has committed against her country, even harming her own father and family, Hiyori cannot find it in her heart to forgive him. Suddenly, Kanjuro's fire-breathing monster appears, notifying Orochi that the plan has failed. Unexpectedly, the fire-breathing creature loses control and incinerates Orochi. While Luffy is enthralled by his new state, he feels like he can accomplish anything, even turning the ground into rubber. This newfound power of mine. This is Gear 5. At this moment, Luffy keeps leaping around and laughing like a madman. He unleashes his Conqueror's Haki, striking Kaido and leaving him bewildered by this overwhelming power. Luffy immediately jumps up and inflates his arm even further. While Kaido is still confused about what is happening, suddenly, Luffy's hand shot forward, grabbing Kaido like a worm and pulling him up into the sky. Everyone watching realized that Luffy was back. He immediately flexed his muscles and landed a powerful punch straight into Kaido's face. He could even lift Kaido up, spin him around, and continuously knock him down, causing Kaido's head to spin in confusion. While Luffy was still laughing happily, Kaido became furious. "You're still alive, Straw Hat?" As Kaido was about to shoot fire at him. But Luffy moved swiftly, even being able to grip the ground like rubber and bounce back Kaido's attack. He turned into a burnt dragon. At this moment, Kaido realized he needed to apologize to that CP0 agent. Without him, Luffy wouldn't have awakened his devil fruit power. Kaido was delighted to have a rematch with Luffy. Meanwhile, Luffy said, "It's time to decide the winner." Suddenly, Kaido became curious about why Luffy was still alive, and why everything around him had turned into rubber. So he realized that Luffy's devil fruit had awakened. Clearly, it exhibited characteristics of a Paramecia-type devil fruit, but it seemed to resemble a Zone-type devil fruit. So, Kaido lunged at Luffy and bit him, causing Luffy to inflate his muscles even more in an effort to escape. But he was still swallowed by Kaido. At first, it seemed like Luffy might be turned into Kaido's digestive product. Surprisingly, Luffy was comfortably playing and attacking Kaido from within. He even inflated his body, turning Kaido into a round ball, making Yamato and Momo surprised. They couldn't understand why Kaido appeared so round. At this point, Kaido was wondering why his body felt like rubber. Luffy noticed a light ahead, so he reached out and pierced through Kaido's two eyes, to force him to release Luffy. Finally, Luffy managed to escape from Kaido's mouth. As Yamato and Momo got closer, they saw that Luffy had turned into a giant. He was about to kick Kaido down to the ground, but Kaido managed to dodge and lunged at Luffy to bite him. Unexpectedly, Luffy grabbed Kaido by the neck and started playing jump rope with him, so Kaido shot flames at Luffy to break free. Even though he was burnt black, Luffy showed no signs of giving up, and he continued to charge at Kaido. Kid-in-law, down below, realized that Luffy had to win this battle for everyone to have a chance to survive. So, everyone placed their hopes on Luffy. At that moment, when Luffy was about to charge and attack Kaido, unexpectedly, he rushed forward and appeared in front of Luffy, delivering a powerful blow that sent Luffy's head crashing down below the castle, causing everyone to startle. That giant is Luffy, isn't it? So, Luffy had returned to his normal size. Kaido noticed that Luffy was exhausted. Suddenly, Luffy's Gear 5 disappeared, causing Luffy's face to sag like an old man's. Surprisingly, Kaido also reached his limit and slumped down. But Luffy stood up again and said, "It's not over yet." At this moment, Luffy remembered the sacrifices of everyone, so he activated Gear 5 again, exciting Kaido. Luffy felt his heartbeat resurge, and both of them continued the battle. Kaido immediately charged and struck Luffy's head. His mace stuck right into Luffy's head, but no matter how he attacked, Luffy remained completely unharmed, thanks to his rubber-like properties, leaving Kaido utterly perplexed. As Luffy fought with complete freedom, so Luffy charged forward, delivering a powerful punch to Kaido's head, sending him soaring into the mountain. While Luffy was happily contemplating a name for his new technique, Kaido had regained consciousness and asked, "Who are you, in the end?" Luffy replied, "I am Monkey D. Luffy. I will become the Pirate King." This infuriated Kaido immensely because Luffy had continuously thwarted his plans, including the defeat of his closest subordinates, Queen and King, by Sanji and Zoro. Therefore, Kaido was determined to defeat Luffy. So, Kaido charged at him, but none of his attacks had any effect on Luffy. Luffy promptly coiled his body and launched a continuous barrage of punches at Kaido, which left Kaido starting to feel exhausted. Suddenly, Luffy noticed the massive fire raging below the castle, but he still had faith in his comrades, and he remained focused on defeating Kaido. Inside the castle, Chopper was extremely worried about everyone because they couldn't find anyone. However, Nami and Otama were determined not to give up. On the other hand, Brook and Robin were surrounded by flames, while Jinbei and Raizo were brainstorming ways to extinguish the fire. Sanji was protecting the girls. Usopp was also trying to put out the fire, but their efforts seemed to be in vain. Frankie was carrying Zoro and running away. At this moment, Raizo and Jinbei found a way to extinguish the fire. It turned out that on Zou Island, Zunisha had sprayed a massive amount of water onto its back to take a bath. So Raizo had stored all that water inside his ninja technique scroll, and he released all the water. Jimbei used fishman karate to control the water and put out the fire throughout the castle. Thanks to this, everyone was saved, while Yamato was forcing Momo to lift the entire island. Otherwise, all the people would be in grave danger, because Kaido's flame clouds were gradually disappearing. As for Luffy, he had jumped straight into the sky. He immediately grasped a bolt of lightning as his weapon to attack Kaido. Momo realized that the island was about to fall, so he tried to create flame clouds. But Momo kept failing repeatedly. Suddenly, he remembered his mother. When the entire castle was being engulfed in Kaido's flames, Momo's mother had always believed in him and the 9 red scabbards to rescue Wano country. Even though, at that time, Momo was just a child. But seeing the trust of everyone in him, Momo decided to join Kinemon's group in traveling to the future. So at this moment, Momo had regained his determination. Suddenly, the island's descent speed increased. It turned out Luffy was engaged in a fierce battle with Kaido, directing bolts of lightning at him. He even moved at incredible speed, leaving Kaido overwhelmed by Luffy's strength. So he immediately swung a mace to knock Luffy away. But Luffy remained unharmed, and swiftly returned to attack Kaido. When Kaido shot flames to knock Luffy away, he immediately used the lightning like rubber, creating elastic force and rebounding straight at Kaido. But Kaido continued to block it. Suddenly, Luffy gathered all the lightning together, continuously striking Kaido's head. Surprisingly, Kaido swiftly moved and attacked Luffy. At this point, Kaido believed that relying solely on devil fruits was not enough to dominate the world. But Haki was the most crucial aspect, so he used the Thunderclap 8 trigrams to strike Luffy with an incredibly powerful attack. While the people of Wano still didn't know what was happening, they released many prayer lanterns into the sky. At this moment, Kaido thought he had defeated Luffy, but to his surprise, Luffy was still there. He grabbed Kaido's body and pulled him. So Kaido transformed into a dragon, and he unleashed his entire array of techniques on Luffy, leaving Luffy burnt black. On the other hand, Orochi was still burning, but it inadvertently helped him escape from the sea prism stone nails. So he released his devil fruit power, intending to take Hiyori down to hell with him. Meanwhile, Otoko and the old blacksmith watched as the lanterns floated into the sky. While Luffy was up in the sky, witnessing the hopes of everyone, Hyo believed that Luffy would fulfill his promise. Kaido thought he had defeated Luffy already, but he was surprised to see Luffy reappear once more, dragging a massive fist through the sky. Luffy said to Momo, "Let's save this kingdom together. I believe in you." Yamato was extremely surprised because Luffy's fist had the potential to destroy the entire island of Onigashima. Kaido realized that Luffy wanted a full-scale showdown with him, so he released his full power, enveloping his entire body in flames, and transformed into a true fire dragon. But Luffy didn't back down. He unleashed his massive fist directly at Kaido, causing Onigashima Island to tremble. Seeing Luffy's attack, all the samurai placed their hopes in him. Kawamatsu remembered the day when Oden sacrificed himself to save the 9 red scabbards. Kaido and Orochi had cast a dark shadow over all of Wano country. Even though the samurai had risen up together, they couldn't withstand Kaido's overwhelming power. This left the entire kingdom of Wano engulfed in flames. Since then, the people of Wano had to live in hell, forced into harsh labor, even to the point of not having enough food and clean water to consume, leaving everyone in despair, until one day, Orochi sent them defective devil fruits, causing everyone to lose their true emotions. Even a child had to laugh when their parents passed away. Hiyori was the one who witnessed everything, so this time, she was determined to seek revenge on Orochi. When Orochi released his devil fruit power to attack Hiyori, Denjiro appeared just in time, and officially put an end to Orochi's dictatorship. As for Momo, he saw Luffy's determination, along with the prayer lanterns of the people of Wano. Momo knew that his parents were still watching over him, so it helped him regain his spirit, determined to rescue everyone, while all the samurai prayed for Luffy's victory. While Luffy was putting all his strength into one final attack against Kaido, suddenly, Kaido remembered his past. It turned out that from a young age, Kaido had immense strength, even capable of destroying an entire kingdom, and becoming the mightiest warrior of the Vodka Kingdom at the age of just 10. But due to the uncontrollable nature of Kaido's strength, the king decided to capture him, handing Kaido over to the navy, turning him into the government's hunting dog. At this moment, Kaido realized that the king had used him to secure a seat at the Reverie Conference. So Kaido told Luffy, I want to build a world ruled by violence because I am the strongest, and Kaido began to acknowledge Luffy's strength, so he shot a fireball that sent Luffy flying back. Kaido continued to say, "No matter how hard you try, you can't change this world." It turns out that when Kaido was captured by the Navy, he managed to escape, so he was immediately wanted with a bounty of 70 million belly. But whenever he got hungry and thirsty, Kaido would intentionally let the Navy capture him again, and once he was full, he would escape again, so Whitebeard began to take notice of Kaido. Realizing that Kaido, at just 15 years old, possessed the strength of a monster, that's when Whitebeard recruited Kaido as a pirate, and he joined the Rock Pirates. Since then, Kaido became a member of the Rock Pirates, a pirate crew composed of the strongest individuals. But not long after, everyone received news that the Rock Pirates had been defeated by Garp. While Big Mom was extremely furious, seeking Kaido to collect her debt, Kaido decided to split from the Rock Pirates and form his own pirate crew, a place where he could dominate the world through war and violence. At this moment, Luffy remained determined to win. Luffy immediately increased the power in his punch, causing Kaido to be pushed back. Then Kaido remembered saying to King, "I know who Joy Boy is," while the final CP0 agent was fleeing Wano to report back to the Five Elders. Momo, on the other hand, was cheering for Luffy. He believed that Luffy would definitely win, and upon seeing the prayer lanterns of the people of Wano, Momo was determined to create the flame clouds to save everyone. Yamato realized that the island was falling. They didn't have much time left. At this moment, Kaido still believed, "In this world, no one can defeat me." While people were still running away from the fire, Raizo and Jinbei's water arrived and extinguished all the flames in the castle. Yamato saw that Kaido's flame clouds had disappeared, causing the island to fall even faster, so she immediately told Momo to create a fire cloud quickly. If not, all the people in the capital would be in danger. But unexpectedly, this time, Momo succeeded in creating a large fire cloud. He wrapped it around the falling island and pulled it back up, while Kaido continued to boast about his strength. Further infuriating Luffy, he suddenly asked Luffy, "What kind of world do you want to create, Straw Hat?" Unexpectedly, Luffy increased his strength even more, making his punch even larger. At this moment, Luffy remembered the determination of all his friends. He said, "The world I want to create is a place where all my friends can eat their fill." Unexpectedly, Luffy's strength blew away Kaido's flames. He then delivered a final punch, a powerful blow straight to Kaido's face, sending him crashing to the ground. At this moment, all the prayer lanterns flew towards Luffy, making Luffy very happy, because he had fulfilled the prayers of everyone. Kaido, on the other hand, remembered telling King that, "Joy Boy is the man who can defeat me." In the end, Kaido was defeated. Momo also successfully pulled the Onigashima Island to a safe landing place. That's it for today's video. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to support Oni-chan in the upcoming videos. Thank you all for watching. Much love.